Well, good morning to all of you. This is the second edition of the Campfire Sessions that is specially dedicated to the Scandinavian Outdoor Award. And if you want to know more about the Scandinavian Outdoor Award, then please watch the video that I did last week on the Fjällräven Tree Kanken backpack, and also read the article that I wrote on my website, and I'll put the link below in the description so you know a little bit more about the background. But I am, and that's what I'm proud of, the chairman of the Scandinavian Outdoor Award for this winter season. Now, talking about winter season, well, you can see me, my campfire, the kettle is almost burning, it's almost boiling, and the wood, it's frozen, so it's a really good chopping board at the moment. But what you will see is that I've got a brand new Thule Tepui rooftop tent. And this rooftop tent, as you can see it now, it's on my table in my backyard. And there's a reason for this, because I don't really have a car available to test it on. And it is only here for 2 days, because this one, it is the only one in the world. After that I'm done with this video, it goes to Munich, to the ISPO trade show, where it is going to be a video shoot and probably on display. And after that I will get it back. So this review that you see, this first look basically, is just for the Scandinavian Outdoor Award. And in late March, beginning of April, I will have a full review on the new Tepui. Now, what you should know about this tent is that it is a very special one, because as you see it now, it looks like a full-size rooftop tent, a soft top rooftop tent. But if you fold it back into its original shape, you will see that it is more like a sort of very narrow coffin-like shape tent that is on top of a car roof. And now let me go back in time, because of course I put it on my table in my backyard, but of course it has been on a car, just to show you how it basically works. Now, let's go to the other part of my house and basically to the car park of my next door neighbor. Now, this is something that you won't see me doing a lot, putting a rooftop tent on a normal family car. But that's got a reason, because if you look at that side of the image, you'll probably see my Toyota Land Cruiser with my own rooftop tent on top of it. But I don't have a car available, and since this one is only to be here for about 2 days, I need to do this quick. The thing that I should warn you about is the fact that I'm putting this one on a Peugeot 308 SW with a glass roof, which is not advisable. At least I did not get a guarantee from Thule and from Peugeot that this will work. So this is just to show you on the car how it looks and how it fits. I'm not going to sleep in it because I don't know about the load at the moment. But I will do a full review later, somewhere in March, April, on the tent, but then on my very solid Toyota Land Cruiser. Now, what you will see is that the Thule Tepui is basically a half-size rooftop tent, although it is for 2 persons. Now, the smart thing about this is that you still got half of your roof rack available if you want to carry a kayak or a canoe, or maybe a mountain bike onto your journey. Thule also said that some cars are that wide that it will even fit 2 mountain bikes. Now, what I did notice, if you want to get the cover off, then there is a zipper going all the way around, and it is quite difficult to reach the zipper everywhere. I'm a small guy, only 1.70 m, so for me this is a sort of a challenge. And also the connection points, the brackets, if you need to attach them, that's also pretty hard to do this if you are a smaller person. Now again, this is how far I go on showing how the Tepui fits onto a family-sized car. I'm not going to show you how to unfold it, simply because I'm not sure about the car and the glass roof. So now we go back to my backyard and continue from there. Now, of course, first you take the ladder, and this is some poles that I need later. Now, and this is probably as far as I can go at the moment. As you can see, I have basically the main fabric, which is the tent itself, and there is this piece of extra roof. which is good, of course, because when it rains a lot, it doesn't wetten the tent fabric itself. Of course, this is waterproof as well. But now it's about 2 degrees outside, and I'm going to sleep in this one tonight. So I'm going to put the cover on, because that will give me some extra layer of isolation, which is, I think, pretty okay. Now, of course, I had to fiddle a bit around with the ladder, of course, because this is not how it's supposed to be on top of a car. Now let's have a look inside the tent. Now, to get a little bit more light in the tent, I will open the zippers. I can only do this from the inside, and I can flip it that way. And now you can see that there is quite some space. And now what I need to do, this is quite funny to be honest, I need to get a tape measure, because then I can measure basically what the inside of the tent, the dimensions are. Now, what do I measure? The width of the mattress is 114.5 centimeters. And the length it is 2 meters and 2 centimeters. Is it? No, yeah, 2 meters and 2 centimeters. Now, to be totally honest, when I test tents, I normally take about 1 meter and 20 centimeters as a sort of standard for 2 persons to sleep in. If you are a big Dutch or German guy, or maybe Swedish, and you have a girlfriend that is almost as tall as you are, then I would think that this is pretty cramped. Also for me, I'm 1 meter 70 centimeters tall. And when I sit upright in my rooftop tent here, then I only have at the middle, there is a little space for my head, but it's not much. If you go to the sides, you don't have any headroom whatsoever. So in this case, I do think that, yes, it is a rooftop tent. There is room for 2 persons, but you are very snug together, which is going to be good tonight, because of course I'm going to ask my wife to join me tonight. She's not that big either. And because it's going to freeze tonight, we are going to be snug together, and that's going to be a cool night inside this little, well, rooftop tent. And I'm very curious how the night is going to be like. One thing that I did not show you, of course, because this is not the whole pitching setup video of the tent itself, but one thing that is absolutely cool, and that's a way of thinking that I don't think any other rooftop tent has. And now I will take the gimbal and I'll show you how this works. Because if you want to make a rooftop tent that is so narrow that you can basically fit 2 of these onto a car, of a normal family car, then basically the poles, they limit the width basically of the building, of the construction of the building. And what they did is, like in good old-fashioned tents, they made a telescopic pole, all 3 of them. And because if you press the button, at least that's how it should, you see it pops. And because of this, it gets that narrow in basically the packing of the tent. And now when I lift it up again, it's got basically 2 notches. That's how it works. And I think that's, well, pretty clever. What I did not mention yet, of course, there is a opening on that side. And because it's a total the same tent, of course, there's also an opening on this side. All the openings have got mesh. And also, if you look at the sides of the tent, here is a window again, also with mesh. So when you take this tent into the warmer period of the year, which is basically, I think this is not a winter tent, definitely. It's more like a 2-season extended, maybe into 3-season tent. You need a lot of ventilation, and that's going to be wonderful. I once slept in a tent with a opening in the roof, just with the mesh in there in the summer, and when the stars are out there and there is a sort of a nice evening glow. It's wonderful to have a roof in a opening a window in your roof, because you can just look outside into the stars, which is absolutely brilliant. Now I think it's going to be time to wait till it's dark, make my campfire, do some dinner, and then on to bed. So first let me get my sleeping bags. This is going to be cozy. Like this, it's quite a perfect Saturday evening in our Swedish little hut. And then tonight in the Thule Tepui. I don't know if you can see it, but there's ice on the roof already, and it's about -5 degrees now. But we've got a lot of sleeping bags. So we will be warm tonight. Now, this is us in our sleeping bags. One thing that we notice is that for 2 small persons that are not too heavy, the size is quite okay. But the mattress, it's not that thick and it is quite firm. And because it is below 0, we are lying on an extra blanket and of course also on our sleeping bags. So it's not totally honest, but for now I wish you all good night, and I'll see you in the morning. Good night. Now. Now, you've seen how I basically put it on top of the car. You've seen how the size is on top of the car. What you should not know is that the tent in total, it weighs only 49 kilos. And I'm not totally sure if this is inclusive the ladder, because that one comes separately. It's not on top of the tent when you put it on top of your roof. So you have to carry that one extra in your car as well. Now, there are a few things that you should know and that I want to explain in this video. In the first place, we've been sleeping in this, my wife is still in there, for the last night. And some things that I did discover when we are sleeping inside the tent is that the space itself, yes, it is quite small. But for 2 people who only weigh 63 kilos and are 1.70 meters tall, the size is absolutely fine. But if you are a big outdoor sports guy and girl, I'm not totally sure, so try this in shops. Now, there's one other thing that I did notice. There is a little bit of condensation on the inside when we're sleeping, and then especially if you are lying on the sides and you want to get up, your head gets into the tent fabric. Especially if you are a bit taller, but it happens to me already. What I also did notice is that if you take basically the rain fly on top of the tent and the main fabric of the tent itself, it is very close together, and it would be better if there was a little bit more space between the two, because then you have a little bit more isolation. And what happens now is that the tent here, the fabric with the ice on top of it, it's basically connecting, touching the main fabric, which is of course not good for the isolation. So in that respect, yes, this is a tent. It's been sent in for the winter Scandinavian Outdoor Award sessions, winter-fall, fall-winter, but I really regard this as a spring to autumn rooftop tent and not really a winter one. We've been fine during the night. It's not been cold whatsoever. One thing that we did notice is that, are you awake? Morning. One thing that we did notice is basically that the mattress, it is quite thin, and since it's freezing, of course, it is almost solid, so it is like you have basically a wooden plank underneath you. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much. And we've been sleeping in quite a lot of rooftop tents by now, so this is really something that in the summertime would be probably totally different, but maybe it's then too soft and you will touch the bottom anyway. So that's something that we need to find out later. One thing that I also did notice, and that's just construction-wise, is that, and I forgot to say this earlier, is that these metal rods, I do like the fact that they're not in the middle, because they're not here, so that the entrance into your tent is really nice and big. But where it touches basically the metal into the aluminium, there is not a metal bushing in there. So when you have a lot of wind in the end, or you do this 1000 times, the metal is going to wear out the aluminium part, so there would be a bushing would be better, or just a metal plate on top of it, so that would prevent it. But since it is positioned in an angle into the frame of the Tepui, it can be quite difficult. And I can feel on my back the heat of the fire. And that said, do you have a mug somewhere? Okay. I will get you some fresh tea. Be careful, because it is hot. Now, the other thing that I did notice is that, and I did mention it, I think, in the when I unpacked it basically, is that the zipper, it is quite fragile. I saw on the video that Thule made of this tent, an instruction video, that there should be a pulling cord on the zipper when you have to remove the cover basically. That would make it easier to get it off the car. But since this one is broken already, I really hope that for the production version that they do a zipper that is a little bit more rugged. Now, this is what I wanted to share with you for the moment on the Thule Tepui. Is it a winter tent? No. Is it a clever design? Yes, it absolutely is. Is everything perfect? No, it is not. It needs some improvements in my eyes, especially the zipper and the distance from the fly, on the rain fly basically, onto the tent fabric. There should be a little bit more distance between the two of them. Now, if you liked this video, then please give it a like. And if you like what I do as a 100% independent gear reviewer and bike reviewer, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because with more subscribers I can make more videos. And if you're not totally convinced yet, then I'll put a link in the description below and also up here, so you can have a look at my favorite outdoor gear videos that I did of my favorite gear, my favorite outdoor gear. And I'll put a link in the description below on the other rooftop tents that I reviewed in the past, in case you are curious about other rooftop tents as well. Now, if you continue watching, enjoy my videos, and if you're done for today, then enjoy the outdoors. Ciao, ciao! Bam!